welcome to Sports Trebuchet. I'm Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
And follow us at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter. Visit us at sportstrebuchet.com. Feels weird saying the F there in front of the... Instagram at Sports Trebuchet. Email sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com. Let's jump straight to it.
Visit us at Town in America.
Yeah, mail us at P.O. Box 1, Charlotte, North Carolina.
Should we go on tour? We've got no fans, but big podcast did it.
Apparently we do. Germany's been downloading like crazy. So
going to Germany.
Oktoberfest.
Can you imagine going to a German tour? How great that would be, and
just make our own T-shirts and no one knows who we are.
Just make a bunch of stickers and just tag everything that was in sight. Just every fucking tram, every car.
When I went to Iceland, there was a Brighton sticker in Reykjavik.
Really?
Yeah, on one of the handrails.
You think they're happy about that, Iceland?
Probably not, but there was
all the vandalism.
There was a lot of stickers, so.
That'd be cool, man. I think if I was going to start a city, that I'd want everybody to get after it. If I had a restaurant, I want every wall to be just floor to ceiling stickers. That's cool as shit.
I want to hear about Marty starting a city.
Let's start a city.
Let's do it. Let's start a city.
There are people that have done more with less in Africa in terms of starting their own countries.
God, next week we've got child soldiers.
All of a sudden, now.
Just because I'm roughly the size of a child does that make me count?
It's a minor militia, and I don't mean the numbers. I mean purely the age.
We're bringing back a 90s soccer team from South Africa.
Gross. And if you want to get that joke, listen to issue number 16.
Is your daughter going to be one of our freedom fighters?
Yeah, she'll be 3. She's got a mean karate child.
She's the chosen one.
She's Captain Marvel, but without the superpowers. She's a hero.
Does she like flying through ships and destroying them?
No, you know what's funny is she always asks to go up, and I'll go to raise her up really high, and there's a point where she's like, no, and just fucking bails on it. And then, but her wanting to stop, she twists. So she's effectively trying to just dive bomb out of my arms and spike herself somewhere.
So she is trying to go higher, further, faster.
Yeah, she's trying to go out like Chris Benoit.
Oh, whoa. Maybe Owen Hart.
Ooh, you know what? That's probably more... I meant the brain damage part that caused Benoit to do it.
Is she gonna murder you and your wife and then kill herself and leave the dogs outside?
But Owen Hart deserved it. Yeah, she's gonna build a fence to make it an enclosed pool area. Let's get right to it, like we just planned on doing, and it's Kyle's Corner. Kyle, what do you want to talk about, pal?
So actually, it's kind of nice that Josh mentioned a movie in there because I kind of want to get into the spoiler culture because in the last couple of weeks...
What a weird statement.
The spoiler culture. So in the last couple of weeks we've
leave milk out everywhere. It's awful.
We've had the Avengers movie come out. We've also been in the throes of Game of Thrones. So... as we can all attest to being on social media, seeing everything, both fan bases have kind of handled the releases of those in different ways. Whereas in the Avengers realm, we had the directors basically come out and say, don't spoil anything. And the fan base was really, really respectful of that and didn't post a lot of spoilers. They started groups where people can go in and say, hey, this is going to be a place where you can discuss.
Yeah.
So if you want to discuss, go here. We saw it in video games where people where certain games were disabling chats or putting in areas where you couldn't chat, during a certain game. But on the other side of that, you've got Game of Thrones where the second after an episode comes out, people are making memes. People are talking about it on social media. And why do we think that is? That, basically we got a 2-week grace period for a movie, but the second an episode of a TV show comes out that is as popular, worldwide, that they're not giving it a second to breathe.
I have 2 theories on this, and one is very specific to the 2 things you're talking about, and the other one is TV versus movie. I wonder if the reason TV is because it airs at the same time for everyone, right? So everybody gets to see the show if they want to at the same time. Whereas we were lucky enough to go and watch Endgame on opening weekend. There were a lot of people who tried and didn't get tickets. So I'm wondering if there was that level of grace period simply because they weren't able to go. Whereas the odds of you missing Game of Thrones, like, if you can't watch it on that Sunday, fine, but like, you should probably be able to see it Monday night if you can't see it Sunday, and then you've only got to really stay off social media for 24 hours. My second theory is that much like they're giving very different spoiler reactions, they're also giving very different overall mood reactions, and people are generally starting to shit hard on Game of Thrones. And I wonder if this is a way of lashing out at it, in terms of like, because most of the memes that come out afterwards, generally not positive. They're generally shitting on a specific moment in the last episode and making it a joke because they see it that way. I wonder if that's... I don't know. That's my two.
I think
sense.
It could be just as much as what's doing that, regardless of your take on agreeing where the storyline or where the story is going. You literally end one with the funeral and a somber moment of reflection, and the other one is ramping up to this finale, and it's hitting a lot of speed bumps on the way. I think my answer to it is there was an application, I think, called T-versity that came out like 6 years ago or 5 years ago. And it's cool because you could follow movies, and if you followed and liked these shows, if you followed these shows during the episodes, they would have chat. It was ahead of its time in that Twitter would just eventually become that. The same way watching live sports with Twitter in hand, and you're getting everybody's reaction at the same time, or you're getting people all laughing at the same thing at the same time, or punking on some stupid shit all at the same time. It's a very communal feel to it. Or in Game of Thrones, as I understand it, people all shitting over something at the same time because everybody's screen is basically black when they're fighting in a blizzard at night with no lighting.
That's exactly one of them.
I think that's probably the difference, because like if you came in Monday and on Sunday night there was a Trailblazers game in the playoffs and they lose, and someone starts talking about the game, you go, "Hey man, no spoilers, dude. I haven't seen the game yet." You're usually laughed out of the building, right? Mm-hmm. I think the TV versus movie thing is a part of that. But more specifically, the movie thing, there were some fun memes on things like Reddit, but like everyone was super respectful, and instead they do like the Vince McMahon gif, right? Where he's going like he's looking, he's getting more excited, and then falls out of his chair. But instead of the actual scene, it was when everybody's coming out of the portals, they just drew a circle, and then it was 2 circles, and then it was like 5 circles, and then 6, and eventually like all the circles, and Vince McMahon freaking out. And so if you see the movie, you get it. If you don't, it's just like, it means nothing to you.
Spoilers with no context kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is very fun.
It is very
fun. I love spoilers with no context. But I mean, you'd think that they're two very similar fan bases. You think?
In that they're fantasy, because that's also fiction.
Right. They are probably going to have a big crossover.
So it's just funny to see one group that can't hold it together and let it breathe for 24 hours before, or even like 12 hours.
12 minutes.
I mean, dude, the only thing I can relate to being on Twitter while Game of Thrones is going on, because I don't watch Game of Thrones yet, is what I wonder. I feel probably what other people feel that don't watch wrestling and that are on Twitter on Monday nights, because Raw takes over people's timelines. And whether you're a fan or not, like, it's almost no way to avoid it. And same thing with Game of Thrones. That's why, like, I have an idea of anything that's going on because it's on Twitter from 9 to 10 or whenever they air.
Sure. But let's say somebody like me, I don't always just sit down at 9 o'clock and watch. Start at like 9:30, 9:45, you know. If I got on social media, I would already know what the episode is about.
Yeah,
which
you absolutely
is insane. But at the same time, then you have a movie where people could live tweet it if they really wanted to. They could have their phone out in the movie theater and do it.
God, they would get kicked out, I think. I don't know.
Who would kick them out?
The people around
People would flip their shit. Especially if it was packed theatre, which it would be on the
Sure.
opening weekend, we were 6 abreast in there. If there was someone next to me on their phone that wasn't one of us, I would have told them to pack it in. And if they didn't, I probably still wouldn't have gone and reported them because I didn't want to miss the movie. But if it was any other movie, I probably would have.
Send your wife.
Yeah.
Whoever's the least invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got to be the live aspect of it. But there was times, so I pirate all my TV shows, pretty much.
Sure.
And there was times when I started watching Boardwalk Empire, and I think I watched it live. Maybe it was Westworld. I can't remember what it was. It was something that was on an HBO, though, that I wasn't going to pay for. And I knew that I had to avoid a certain section of the internet because I planned on watching it. It aired on Sundays, but it was going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't know. I noticed needed to see it before the next Sunday. I think Game of Thrones kind of has that. I think it's just simply more people are online than ever.
It's every part of the internet that you have to watch out for.
And I think the part of the problem is like there are people like me that wake up on a Monday morning excited to see the memes because it makes me laugh. And I think they're catering to me. Like,
sure.
I'm part of the problem because I really enjoy laughing my ass off at stupid shit the next morning. And if I had to wait a week, I'd probably not even remember what I'm laughing at.
Yeah.
Which is like so short-minded.
I mean, I didn't watch The Sopranos when it was on, but when the finale hit, the ticket specifically, almost like that whole week talked about it. And every website I could think of had some kind of an article talking about it, whether it was a bad ending, good ending, whatever. This is just a further extension of it. If they had a way to blast it to 250,000 followers at 9:59 instead of having to wait for their clicks earlier, I don't know. It's a weird way that everything moves faster. I think Marvel. It doesn't mean more because you read all the Game of Thrones books, right?
Yeah, I'd read them all before.
So this has been in the waiting for you for as long as many people for the whole Marvel thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a pleasant surprise more than a thing like that. Like, because I didn't even assume. Like, I've read a lot of books, and like, you know, there's very few that make it there, and it has to be a massive author. Usually, if it's going to be I read a shit ton of books, and normally the ones that make it to the big screen are like Stephen King. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
scholar.
The dude who's made an absolute mint off of books. So, like, to me, he was just another fantasy writer, and it was just another fantasy book that I really enjoyed because it was different to any other fantasy I'd read. So when they said there was a show, I was hype about it. And then as the show went on, and the further I realized that the fat shit wasn't ever going to finish the books, and this is what I'm going to get, I was really invested, and now this season has pissed me off a lot. Every episode is getting worse. So like, I can understand, like, when I sit there and watch it, like, my first instinct is to vent to someone. The difference is like, I vent to my wife, and people who are on Twitter are venting that way.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the problem. The fact that they can just go online, and unfortunately you hear what they think immediately.
But I mean, on the other catch of that, like, if you had 5 other diehard fans that you were watching it with at the same time that were all talking over the show and getting reactions like that, kind of sucks, right? But like, it's great with Twitter if purely because you can read it and you're still not really missing a beat and you're laughing or upset about what someone said or whatever it might be.
So kind of going off of that, though, your theory over here, Josh, about, you know, everybody's being pissed off and this is a way for them to vent.
Sure.
So are you, in that same vein, if largely the reactions to Endgame have been very positive.
Hugely positive.
If it wasn't a positive reaction, if a large majority of the fan base thought that it got fucked, that the ending got fucked, do you think that we would have seen more angry Twitter, angry spoilers coming out right after it happened?
Could be. I mean, as late as or as early as that next Monday, it seemed like there were plenty of spoiler-respectful headlines, but articles about the Captain America thing and how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
and because Sarah was upset with it, those happened to seek her out, and so she was reading those. So I think it was still out there, but it was treading lightly because it didn't want to. It's. I guess you're also talking about a movie that's literally breaking every single record in the book, and a franchise that collectively is just smoking anything that's ever come close to it. It's smoking anything Harry Potter ever did, or Lord of the Rings ever did, or any extended, or Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Star Wars is trying to catch up, doing every movie every 2 years, and they're still getting the fucking doors blown off. Yep. I wonder if that's another reason, because
already Endgame is the second highest grossing movie in.
Is it not first already? I figured it.
It's first. First globally. Domestically, it's in second, and it's only like $600 million behind.
Fucking Avatar.
It'll pass Avatar by this weekend.
It's got it, man.
Yeah.
Please don't let that piece of shit stay top.
Yeah.
How did Avatar get so big? I don't understand.
How does nobody ever talk about how Avatar is?
It's the only movie that's gotten that big that I've never heard anyone talk about, like in casual conversation.
It's Pocahontas.
Essentially is, yeah. It was a Christmas movie.
It's Fern Gully.
It was a Christmas movie, and it was the first big movie they were pinning on the 3D gimmick. And it was over Christmas with a lot of time off. So I think that's probably what helped them a lot, because it was, in theory, the first big 3D movie. And, I mean, it's 2019 and 3D has been dead for about 5 years, so that went well.
You know, it's funny, though. It's also kind of an early look with the political aspect of it, of this other race of people, but in this case it was aliens getting their home destroyed. You know what I mean? Like you said, it's like Pocahontas, but I think it also probably translated really well to anyone that wasn't white too, which is, I think, like almost every there's nations all across the world that can relate to what happened in Avatar, specifically with military, interjection, not to get too in the weeds on that. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, Guatemala's like, yeah, fuck, I see, man. They did that shit over here. India, same thing. Like, every fucking country you can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm just sat over here.
Yeah, it's your fault. It is you. It's your fault.
I'm just over here like, don't know what that's like.
And your Spanish lad, he's to blame, too. Yeah. What's imperialism? I don't know.
You conquesting fuck.
Yeah, no doubt. You are a colonizer.
I'm good, thanks you.
Well, and you know what was weird? Someone mentioned, what were the top three movies? It's Endgame now, Avatar, and what else?
Infinity War.
I think Infinity War is 3.
There's another one in there too, but whoever plays
Star Wars is in there. Force Awakens might be in there.
Whoever plays Gamora was in like all 3.
Yeah, she was. She was in Avatar. She was in
Avengers,
and she was in.
Is it Lord of the Rings?
Was it Pirates of the Caribbean?
Could be. Are you gonna look that up, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much money? I hope she's made a lot of money.
Zoe Saldana.
That's her name.
Was it Star Trek?
Yes, it was Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's
Star Trek ain't on the top grossing movies.
It was a franchise thing then. It was like top franchise. It is the picture I saw was like a franchise player, and it was her playing all 3 parts: the Avatar part, the Gamora part, the Star Trek.
She wasn't in Star Wars, was she?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
So yeah, Avatar, Avengers, Titanic.
Star Trek's still one of the top franchises.
She was in Titanic?
No, I'm kidding.
No, that's one of the top.
Yeah. That's one of the top ones, though.
Yeah, she was definitely in Star Trek. That's what it was.
Yeah, she's Uhura.
So it wasn't the top 3 franchises. It was a top 3. It was 2 of the top franchises and a top franchise.
Yeah, and a franchise that made a shit ton of money in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's going to have to be it, because she wasn't in anything else that... I mean, she's been in a lot of stuff that did well, but...
She was in Pirates of the Caribbean,
She was in Pirates of the Caribbean. She was in... No, she was in the second one. That's it.
Really?
The Curse of the Black Pearl.
That's the first one.
Is it?
Yes.
She was in the first one.
Has anyone here ever watched a Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
I watched the first one.
I think I've watched every one of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Hey, what are you going to do?
She was in My Little Pony, the movie.
Oh, what? That's wonderful.
Voice, or was she actually...
Yeah, she was actually in it.
They just painted her up and made her be a pony.
Yeah,
they just used
live action.
She stayed in the Avatar paint, but they just slapped a tail on her, and they're just
No, they gave her one of those. She played the head part of like a 2-person like horse costume.
Yeah.
And they just spray painted it
very
blue.
campy, just walking around. Me too.
The ass is just going back and forth like this because it's some guy that doesn't know what they're doing.
Kyle, what else you got for the corner?
I think that's about it right there. That's a fairly sizable corner.
That was a big corner, but it's actually it's a really cool. I never really even thought about it. I just figured it was a TV movie thing. But digging in's always fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of digging in,
there was a draft.
Segue. There was an NFL draft. So I thought about doing it this way, if you'd like. Instead of going like team by team, because that's going to get boring for everybody, and plus some of these names, you're not expected to know every person in the draft. They got drafted. I'm trying to think of that person that tunes in, pauses, and then comes back, and they just hear like the name Chris Lindstrom, and they're just like, okay, well, what team are we talking about here?
He was the 14th overall pick, I'll have you know.
I looked up, and a disappointing one to everyone in Atlanta, which is really great. I looked up...
They really needed to help their line.
Football Outsiders does a team GPA, and at the end of every draft, they take the consensus, like top 11 or 15 NFL draft experts, and take all their grades, combine them, and turn it into a GPA. So your obvious, like, A+ is a 4, A is going to be a 3.8, whatever that is.
Sure.
Kind of go down. And they average it out across everything. So we're going to do the top... We'll focus on a team that has the top GPA per division, so 8 teams, and then we'll kind of wrap up the rest of the division with the 3 teams picks on the board that we're looking at on anything that kind of interests us or that we want to talk about. What division do you want to start with first? Here are our average GPAs. I say we go... NFC East, NFC North, AFC East, AFC North, and then wrap up the bottom in the same order. Southwest, Southwest.
Sound.
Okay, cool. So the NFC East, the Washington Pro Football Team.
I just see what you did there.
They...
I don't get it.
Because they're racist, a racist name.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I was like, what? Right, sound. Carry on.
So the GPAs in the division, the... Pro Football Team in Washington got 3.57, Eagles with 3.09, Cowboys 2.47, and Giants with 1.92, which is hilarious. What was crazy to me is I didn't go back, and I wish I would have, but this has to be the first time the Washington's graded higher than any other team in like 5 or 6 years, because they've been just since the RG3 trade, and probably before then. They had a really, really, really fucking good draft. It's really kind of weird to see.
Well, they got really lucky that Haskins fell to them at 15.
Yeah, I think
at one point I was like, how far is he going to sink? Like, who's
especially
finally take him?
Especially when the Giants fucked up and you're just like, okay, well, someone's going to smarten up now and get him.
I thought someone was going to trade up real quick and just be like, all right.
I thought there was half a chance that Jacksonville was going to take him at number 7.
Like they're stealing a beer out of the supermarket. They just go and grab Dwayne Haskins and like walk out without making eye contact. Dwayne Haskins is awesome for him, I think. He's accurate as fuck, which plays to that system. Mm-hmm. And he probably contributes immediately because I don't know if Colt McCoy is going to be healthy again. Because he broke his leg too, I think, didn't he?
I mean, you've got Alex Smith. He can go out there and hit people with one of the leg that fell off.
Did you see the picture recently of his leg?
No.
He's still walking. He's got like a walking boot on, but it's got like the frame with the bars still going through his fucking leg. It's awful. I hope he retires for his sake, and I hope he has a good payday for it. But Haskins is a crazy good signing.
Case Keenum's there.
He is.
I forget they got Case Keenum.
They'll start.
So Case and Dwayne Haskins are going to fight, and
to the death.
Case probably wins the battle until like week 6. Depends on how they start.
Yeah.
Especially if Keenum gets hurt too, because he has got hurt.
He's not very durable in general, and we'll see how Haskins is. Montez Sweat dropping to 26 is crazy, but he's he's the guy that's like 6'4", almost 300 pounds, and ran like a 4.40. He's fucking insane. And it's one of those things where, like, even if he has kind of weak technique, that kind of speed and power that he's got is going to be a disruptor, period.
Yeah.
A la, like, your Iraq pose or whatever, to say in the Redskins canon. The only other pick I wanted to point out, actually 2 of them. Bryce Love in the 4th round is crazy. If you would have told me he would have been a 4th-round pick 2 years ago. Bryce Love played for Stanford and he is almost a Heisman winner.
Yep.
He was fucking insane. The problem with Bryce Love being at Stanford is Stanford had nothing else. So
just him.
So his last year he had pretty average numbers, and they kind of just stopped using him, or he got hurt. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But because everyone had 9 people in the box, and you can't do that.
He came into last year being a Heisman candidate, like right off the bat. He was a suspected finalist right at the
and as close as you can get, I think, to consensus top running back in this class going into the season.
Oh, really? Okay, because I knew it was supposed to be a rather shallow draft for running backs.
And I think only because you had him and a couple other guys who just didn't fall off, but they didn't produce because teams adjusted for them, and the team didn't have anything else. He interests me. I think that's a good signing, and God knows Washington does good with late-round running backs, a la Alfred Morris. And then Kevin Harmon from NC State is like a no-downside receiver. I don't think he has a high ceiling, but he has a really high floor. And to get him with a free pick and the compensatory pick, I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't hate the Terry McLaurin pick just for the continuity of him and Dwayne Haskins.
It's really kind of smart when you consider just bringing dudes in that have a rep with each other.
Yeah, especially with a guy that's really only played 1 year of quarterback, to have that kind of security blanket, a guy that he knows how he plays.
And there's no doubt that Washington had
played 1 year.
He's a starter for 1 year in college.
So he's the same as Trubisky was then.
Right.
But he's just as inexperienced, I guess.
The difference mostly being they're almost like opposite quarterbacks. They're almost like opposite quarterbacks. Like what Haskins has throwing, Trubisky lacks a little bit. What Trubisky has in agility and moving in the pocket, what Haskins doesn't have as much.
I was just meaning inexperienced, but
that's
fair. I've never seen Haskins play either. So
but that's a really important thing. It used to be really rare for 1 year starters to even get. That was always the knock on them. But then everybody, quarterback coaching, I think at every level has gotten better. So that's kind of been a misnomer now. Yeah, especially when you go to Ohio State, who's got top talent across every position.
But Ohio State quarterbacks have generally just not transition very well to the NFL.
I think it's been an offense thing though too, because like Troy Smith wasn't exactly NFL wasn't ready for that kind of offense then, and he was not really. It's like Pat White's another good example of like a good college quarterback, but that system didn't translate. So to pull up everyone else, we got the Eagles, we got the Cowboys, and we have the Giants. What is Dexter Lawrence for the Giants is a great pickup, but he was like, I think 20 picks too early.
Yeah.
Based on what everybody's saying. So what they basically did was they drafted a quarterback and a defensive tackle about 40 collective spots too early, because they could have gotten both of those guys at 130 and at 258. No, maybe not 258. Somewhere up there.
You could have gotten Daniel Jones in the second round.
100%. Or anyone else, honestly. I don't know what they're doing.
I really don't know either. I don't see any direction.
I just needed to look at Daniel Jones' face to know it was a bad pick.
Yeah, he's about as white bread as it gets from an ability standpoint and in a look standpoint. And
great successor to Eli.
Yeah, it's almost going to be, they're not going to miss a beat in that regard because they just keep, I don't know what they're doing. It's fucking crazy. And and the rest of their picks also didn't make much fucking sense because Dexter Lawrence, way too early, but he's good. DeAndre Baker, okay, still too early for him. God, who else?
The kid from Old Domain, which I've heard is probably a sneaky good pick.
Yeah, he's supposed to be an athlete.
Which is a very Giants thing to do on the ends.
Yeah, and I don't hate the Ryan Connolly linebacker pick at Wisconsin either. There's really no one else in their draft that mattered to me except how hard that name is at the third to last pick there, the offensive tackle from Kentucky.
And then the Giants doing their thing and picking another Syracuse player.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you know what? And going back to the offensive tackle, drafting a player that's got a hyphenated last name, they fucking love that. George Asafo, a G.
Jason Pierre-Paul, who may have gotten hurt for the season.
Is he?
Already. He got hurt in like an accident or something.
Was it fireworks again?
I was going to say.
No, I forgot. I heard it yesterday. I don't remember what happened.
He lost his other hand.
Just crap boy.
The only thing I had on the Cowboys... Actually, I didn't have anything on the Cowboys because honestly, none of those are... Wow. You know what? Actually, it's funny that they drafted a Michael Jackson and a Joe Jackson. That's it.
That is really funny.
But the Eagles pick, Miles Sanders out of Penn State, I think is going to be a really sneaky good pick, but he's going to be buried in the depth chart. And then my boy, JJ Arcega-Whiteside, is a fucking monster of a receiver. The dude gets almost no separation. His quickness is like mediocre. He's got pretty good top speed. No one catches the ball around him except for him. It's either incomplete or he catches it. No one's got a chance because the dude just fights for it. He's the opposite of Dolph Ziggler in a ladder match. Where like Dolph always made it to the top and then would get knocked off. Not JJ. Not J-Job.
Jason Pierre-Paul suffered fractured neck in a car crash.
Ooh.
God.
There's
That's
that.
rough.
Yes.
Was he driving? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Another little quick hit. Giants decided to go an undrafted free agent sign Eric Dungy, my boy from Syracuse.
Yeah, which is
as a tight end / quarterback.
It'll be interesting. I hope he becomes a really good tight end. Although with Ingram, don't they have Evan Ingram?
Yes.
The Giants, who's also like a top 10 tight end right now. So that's gonna be
But
tough.
he can't stay fit either. So that's
Him and
So him and Dungy are going to be a match made in heaven. They'll each play half a year.
Yeah, half season each. Job done.
Moving on to the NFC North, the Vikings had the top GPA at 2.91, followed by the Bears, Packers, and Lions at 2.81, 2.78, 2.53. You'll notice the difference between them and the East is how much better they are at drafting if you trust the experts in terms of pure average grade. Not a high ceiling, but definitely a higher floor because the Giants...
Consistent.
So going over the Vikings, whose biggest problem was what this year?
Offensive line.
Yeah.
So
And healthy running backs.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was healthy running backs tied in with the need to run for them, which wasn't
Because they
totally
couldn't protect the quarterback.
yeah. So they got
He's a very good center. And
Garrett Bradbury is going to be supposedly an all-timer type center.
he's going to be like Matt Burke.
Yeah, he's really, really, really good. Irv Smith, who is...
It's a great pickup.
He's hoping to be... Because I've read a couple interviews with him. He didn't get much playing time with Bama because their system didn't really lean for a tight end to be thrown to a whole bunch. But he's got fucking hands, but he's a run blocker too. And that's something that they'll also need.
These are two good tight ends with him and Kyle Rudolph.
I forgot about Kyle Rudolph even being there. So that's going to be a really good yin to his yang. And they both can run block.
We'll give Kirk Cousins somebody to... It's going to feel okay about that.
Alexander Madison from Boise, which is just another body. Honestly, I don't have a hot take on him. And then another guard from Oklahoma who probably sees playing time this year, almost for sure, even though he's a fourth-round pick. I see why they got the grades they did, but I think there's a false flag is probably the wrong word. I think you have guys, and this doesn't mean anything to you yet, Josh, but you have a linebacker from USC, a cornerback from Texas, an Oregon wide receiver. You have big-time teams, players that don't really... Chris Boyd's pretty good, but the cornerback from Texas. But they're not... They're drafting them on school.
Pedigree.
Yeah, the pedigree for the school.
Gotcha.
And I think that's...
Or they're grading them on the pedigree of the school.
Right. Well, it's affecting their... If they have two players that are identical, and you say, this guy's 22, this guy's 22, they both have the same measurables. This guy played at USC, this guy played at UNC Charlotte. USC guy is going to get picked 9 times out of 10 if everything else is the same because of the pedigree.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case with someone like that.
And they drafted a long snapper out of Air Force.
Which is... I didn't even catch that. Which means Austin Cutting is going to be in the league until my daughter graduates from high school because long snappers last forever unless they're bad.
LP Ladouceur.
LP Ladouceur for the Cowboys has been around since
your ass is playing tennis.
Since my ass was playing tennis. Anything else? Do you have anything?
No, there's nothing really. The top couple picks are really selling to me. The rest of it, it seems like depth guys.
It looks like a draft of someone that came up short that needed a couple playmakers or a couple key positions filled, and then just needed depth everywhere else.
And I could see Drew Samia actually getting some playing time because their offensive line was so shit last year. And, you can get a guard in the 4th round that's going to play.
Especially if they do plan on running as much as they were. Those are bodies you can kind of roll in and run out. So the other picks for the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. I don't know my alphabet. Detroit Lions. T.J. Hawkinson.
I love him.
I love him too. And I don't know how he fits in. He just extends probably Matt Stafford's reign there for a little longer, which is probably good for everybody in the division because Matt Stafford can't do it.
He's a good blocking tight end too.
He's all around great player, right?
So I mean, who's the running back there?
For the Lions?
Yeah, they don't really have him.
Not Sean Marino. Jesus
Kerryon
Christ.
Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson.
If you can consider him their lead back because he is
like
the biggest sick note out of all of them.
Yeah.
They have like eight running backs.
It's almost as if the position is not dependable.
Yeah.
And it's devalued for a reason. He was, I thought, a great pick for the Lions. Everything else for Detroit was, I think... There was one more. They went defense.
I didn't know what to think about the Hawaii linebacker. I just hadn't seen him play. Will Harris, I've heard good things about him from BC. The safety?
I saw as much. Was it the BC? When they were there like 6-0 earlier this year, they were really good at the beginning of the year, and they got hammered. Will Harris is all over the field despite them getting torched. Not in a bad way, but because they're throwing away from him. Austin Bryant, you're drafting pedigree a little bit, but he's still a guy that can rotate. I wanted to cover... So the Packers, I don't really care about. We all hate the Packers, right? They drafted an Aggie, too. So, like, Matt, if you're listening, Matt from Texas, you know who you are. They drafted 2 Aggies.
Sternberger's a good tight end.
It sucks. Yeah, they also got Kingsley Keke, which is an all-time name.
Rashawn Gary's not a bad linebacker either. That first pick that they had.
No, it's really not. And at 12, I don't think it was a total reach.
And I don't think that Savage at 21 was a bad pick either.
The Rashawn Gary getting picked right there caused everyone else, every linebacker that was drafted in the first round after that, to be moved up 10 spots because, like, Devin Bush was an absolute reach.
Yeah.
And Rashawn Gary was hands down the best. Brian Burns was a reach, even though he was a really good beast in college. He's a reach in terms of the pro.
I think that he's going to be a good... we'll get to him.
Yeah, we'll get to him. I really, really, really loved, and we haven't talked about the Bears. So the Bears had a good grade despite having so little picks. And Josh, I know... So the Bears are your team, right? And you were surprised when we talked about David Montgomery being a good pick because we told you that the running back class was very weak.
Correct.
So here's the thing with David Montgomery. He runs into contact and with contact like Marshawn Lynch does. He's a monster. And that's exactly the hole they needed to fill, right? Because they traded away what's-his-face.
Howard, yeah.
I think you'll love him. He's a really fun running back to watch. And then they just totally fuck it up by drafting Riley Ridley. I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I think it's such a good grade drafting.
Duke Shelley's good. I think it's Valdosta State. I think it was purely value, right? They only had 3, 4, 6, 7, and 7. And I think there's probably a normal strong running back class. Montgomery is probably a second-round pick or at least a late first in old NFL. Mm-hmm. So I think that's weighted there. I think the White Jr. kid is... I don't even know. I don't even remember seeing him play when I've watched. Because I watched plenty of Florida Atlantic because of Lane Kiffin.
And we filled holes that needed filling. It's just whether the people we filled them with are good enough.
Yeah, I think Riley Ridley is going to be the only disappointment out of this entire... And if you can get Steven Denmark to make the roster, then he's probably good enough to be a really good player.
I remember Kareth White from our NCAA football dynasty that we did about a year and a half ago. Because I was Florida Atlantic.
Okay. Well, what did you think of him controlling him in the game?
He was my second string running back. I didn't use him.
Yeah, he was the second string this year.
Yeah. He's fast.
Moving on. Anyways, I think the Bears should be happy considering they had like 3 picks, really.
That seems to be the consensus from Bears fans who know more than college about me and you that knows more about it than me. So I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at positions and thinking they're the ones we needed to fill, so fine.
For Riley's sake, the best thing that can benefit Riley Ridley is the fact that his brother is Calvin, so he's going to be practicing with him a ton. And hopefully he can help, because he's not even raw talent. I feel
lesser brother.
He's clearly the lesser brother.
The thing is I don't know anything about him, but he's also going to be going into an attack with like Tarek Cohen, David Montgomery, Taylor Gabriel,
Allen
Robinson. Like, that we already have a lot of good wide receivers that do very different jobs. So like, if he is our new Kevin White backfill, like where we're taking a punt on someone and hoping they come good, like because Kevin White just never got good because he was hurt all the time. I have no doubt that he's going to be a fucking Arizona Cardinal legend now.
You know what? I will say the one thing that Riley Ridley was really good at was first downs.
Well, maybe, seriously, maybe he
was always the third down option for Georgia. It didn't always work out because everyone knew that after like 8 games, but the fact that that's who they went to every time should give you something. I think he's got sure hands. I just don't think he's Calvin Ridley. I'm being biased because I know how good Calvin Ridley is, and Riley ain't that. But if Calvin is on a scale of 10 to 10, then Riley's like, cool, 5 out of 10, potential to be 7, potential to be 3. And go right. Let's hop over to the AFC East, which, shocker, the Patriots had the best grade.
Because they always draft so fucking well.
Well, and what's crazy is how well we'll see when we look at the picks. I think everybody drafted pretty well. The Dolphins at 3.08 seems to scare me because I can't really remember.
Are they giving him props on getting Josh Rosen during the draft?
If they count that, then that's right.
It'll be
that
great.
Are they lumping all the AAF picks in that?
Yeah, they're lumping all the Orlando Apollo players they added and all the Memphis players they added.
It's going to be great for Josh Rosen this next year when Dolphins end up with the first pick and take Tua Tagovailoa and Rosen gets traded for...
Oh, can you imagine if Rosen's whole gimmick... Rosen's entire gimmick is getting traded in the draft after someone replaces him in the draft every single year. I grabbed the wrong team. That's the New York Giants. The New England Patriots are the best draft, and it doesn't surprise anybody. Although I wonder, sidebar, maybe we can talk about later, the way we talked about a USC linebacker being graded higher than a UNC Charlotte linebacker, I wonder if a pick that seems odd by Bill Belichick is graded higher than a pick that seems odd by a first-year, second-year head coach. Probably.
Yeah,
Probably. They got, I think, top 2 receiver. A lot of people were saying number 1. N'Keal Harry was really good.
Or Harry. I just want to say Henry. I don't know why.
I think, you know what? I think it might actually be N'Keal. No, I honestly can't. No, it's N'Keal Harry. I don't know why you get Henry. Weirdo. They got Chase Winovich, who's the new Clay Matthews, except better. And, of course, it's like, white linebacker, like he's going to the Patriots. Pretty much.
You got another running back to add to their 85 running backs.
Yeah, Damian Harris is going to have three rushing touchdowns in the next Super Bowl. And he has no business doing.
Kajust is a good lineman.
Joe Juwan Williams is a great cornerback.
And then, now everybody's anointing Jarrett Stidham as the next Tom Brady.
Well, you know what's interesting about Jarrett Stidham, too, and I'd like to maybe next time you, me, and Jeff have this discussion on the college football episode, but Stidham, when he was at Baylor, was consensus like, this dude's going to be an NFL player no matter what, because he's got everything. And then he transferred to Auburn, and surprise, Auburn has a quarterback that, ends up being very okay at everything, but not great at anything. And it stunted his development. If they know what they're doing, Stidham will be, if not the heir apparent to Tom Brady, he'll be traded for a significant amount of money in 2 years to some team, whether it be right or wrong, because they develop motherfuckers. They just do.
A la Garoppolo.
Yeah, and
A la Matt Castle.
And I think Garoppolo's better than Stidham, for sure. They drafted a punter in the 5th round. Happy to see it.
He'll be the all-time greatest punter that's ever lived.
He will also play until my daughter graduates college, and be just an incredible punter for years to come, because that's what they do. What we're doing here, we're doing the New York Jets, the Buffalo Bills, and the Miami Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Does it drive you nuts that I'm selecting them out of order? Motherfucker.
Yes, it is. So stop doing that.
Yeah, well, sorry. Taking off the Patriots, and we're looking at the New York Jets. How about that? Can you tell you're in a division with Tom Brady?
When it's all defensive.
When everyone's first round pick is a defensive tackle, or it's really an edge rusher, and then a defensive tackle. And not a single one of them are bad. They're all fucking good to great.
I mean, Quinn Williams
is the monster.
Factor.
He's, I think I texted it to you, he's Glenn Dorsey, but without the motor issue.
Yeah.
Ed Oliver, I think he is probably the next, I think he's the next DeMarcus Ware. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah, he's really, really good.
I think they're going to line up in the middle more than you think.
The Bills, are they running a 3-4 or the 4-3? Because I don't know. Because if he's 4-3, he's an end. And maybe he's a 3 technique, lining up over the guard end. But he doesn't belong in the middle, especially in the NFL, I think, if you have other pieces there. He's an outside rusher. I don't know. I guess so he can play everything, which makes him so good. I hope he doesn't play at the D tackle spot. Or if they play him over the 1 technique between the guard and the center, I have no interest in it. Because if nothing else, some of those lines are going to fucking eat him up because of size. Size despair. I think he's great. Cody Ford's a great pickup for the Bills. Devin Singletary is a starter for Florida Atlantic. I was trying to remember his name.
Looking at the Cody Ford thing, I now know why Jacksonville traded up with Buffalo in the 2nd round. Because Jacksonville took Jawan Taylor with the 35th pick, and clearly the Bills were trying to get a tackle.
That makes sense. And they still and they're for them to get an extra pick and pick up Cody Ford is still a win, I think, because Cody Ford is going to be
Jacksonville got more picks out of it.
Jacksonville moved back.
Jacksonville moved up, traded a 2nd and a 4th, I think, and got this pick a 5th and a 7th back, I think.
So not value. Value-wise, the Bills got more, but
Sure.
people-wise, the Jags got more. Mm-hmm. Although I guess that's determined by the careers, right?
Yeah, the fact that we kept our third-round pick.
I think sleeper here is Dawson Knox, the kid at Seattle Ole Miss, who I think can straight up ball.
Okay.
And then there's really not many other people other than the funny note that Daryl Johnson Jr. got picked. And my wife saw it across the bottom feed, not seeing that it wasn't Johnston. He goes, "Oh, Moose's son?" And I was like, "I don't think he went to NCA&T," which is not exactly.
I also like the all-name team, Blessuan Austin.
Blessuan Austin.
And Andrew Van Ginkel is a fantastic.
Andrew Van Ginkel's pretty good. And honestly, that's the most New England Patriots name ever.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, and
our friends at KV Mechelin will probably know him.
Yeah, his uncle is actually the trainer for the Crappers.
We didn't talk about Christian Wilkins. I think that's a good pickup by Miami. The defensive tackle from Clemson.
No, yeah, for sure. He's not as explosive as these two, I don't think. But he's also the guy that everybody around him should be better because he's gonna demand attention. Period. This is going splendidly, but it's going a little slow.
Sure.
So let's do this. Let's do Ravens, Panthers, Cardinals, Colts, Broncos, the top of their thing, and we'll just burn through everybody else. Does that work for you?
Sound.
All right,
Sure.
cool. So I said Ravens, Panthers, Cardinals, right? Ravens, Panthers. Who are the other teams? Do you remember?
Cardinals.
I already got them. I guess I can just go back. Colts and Broncos. And we'll give you time for your Jags too. What do you know? The Arizona Cardinals had, I think, an absolutely incredible draft. Because it was obvious they had an empty cupboard and they did everything in their power to redo it. So let me do this real quick. So it's a little bit easier to read here. So you had Kyler Murphy, Andy Isabella.
Kyler Murphy?
Kyler Murray.
You said Murphy.
Did I?
You said Murphy,
Yeah.
yeah. Probably because Byron Murphy's right underneath it.
That's exactly what happened. Kyler Murray, Andy Isabella, Hakeem Butler, Keyshawn Johnson. I said Hakeem, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, yes. Awesome.
Yeah, Hakeem the African Dream Butler and Keyshawn Johnson is fucking wild because you basically got an entire receiving core and a quarterback.
Now Larry Fitzgerald can retire.
Yeah, please send him out to pasture. And then at the same time, knowing that their defense is still hurting, Byron Murphy added, Zach Allen, which is a great pick, added, Deontay Thompson, great pick, added. Like, it is fucking wild how good it is. And I think what's going to end up happening, we'll see how good Kingsbury is as a head coach, but these drafts are going to, I think, be exactly the way that that the Seahawks were when Pete Carroll first got in, because he recruited or knew of all of these guys in college and didn't recruit them, but knew of them, so knows their scope and knows all those coaches. I think it's a great first step. It's a win for me. The Ravens, unfortunately, got Tracy McSorley. But Justice Hill's another guy. Josh, that is probably a second-round pick in a normal NFL draft. Okay. And by normal, I mean, I guess, like, the
1999 NFL draft.
You can honestly probably do a pre-spread era when everybody's lining up with 3 and 4 wide. Used to not be the thing, right? So 2005 and earlier, those kind of drafts is what I'm usually talking about.
Okay.
Justice Hill's a baller. Miles Boykin is great.
Hollywood Brown, when he's healthy,
is good, but that's also the thing because he's like 5'10", 160 pounds or something like that. Like, he's very, very small.
Antonio Brown's brother, isn't it?
Yeah, cousin?
Cousin or brother?
It might be cousin. I think he's cousin. But he's an absolute baller.
Yeah.
Amon Marshall's actually sneaky good. Dalen Mack is actually really good. it's clear, just like the Cardinals, that they're trying to help out their young quarterback.
Yes, very much so.
And I think they do it because Brown and Boykin are immediately starters.
I just don't know why they're starting Lamar Jackson. They can go out and get Colin Kaepernick.
He's out there. I think I picked Jackson over Cap.
No, you didn't.
Oh, I definitely did.
No, you definitely didn't, mate.
Let's play back.
Feel free to go back and listen to your earlier shoot.
Someone audit me there. It was maybe because Jackson had only played for like 2 weeks, right?
I don't think it even properly started yet, actually.
That's probably... Are you looking up?
No.
So I was hoping to get Nasta in to talk about the Panthers, but I think we can just stop it with Will Grier is a great value grab.
Should probably be starting for them.
Yeah, he might end up having to.
I mean, yeah, like if Cam goes the same way as Luck did, like we spoke with Nasta a couple of weeks ago about it, like if he goes the way that he went and just screws himself by coming back too soon, they're going to have to rely on that lap.
He's a good. He's kind of got a lot of Baker in him that I think his flaws won't be very visible at the early because he can fucking sling it. He's got a very he came from a Brett Favre system without the Brett Favre arm strength, so I think he's going to be at worst serviceable the first year, and I think potentially really good developing into it.
I like the Brian Burns pick.
I like the pick in the person. I don't like the value at 16. That was my only problem with it because I think defensive linemen are probably getting overvalued in a lot of ways.
I think it was a very, very big pick of need for the Panthers.
Was their line that bad?
That and they lost people. Julius Peppers is not there anymore. Yeah.
Thomas Davis is gone as well.
Thomas Davis is gone now.
I know that he's on the line, but still.
And there's been talk of them going to a 3-4. Where he would be the outside linebacker, edge rusher.
Then that's really interesting. Yeah. Then that's probably a really good piece to have because it was...
he can stand up, he can go down.
It was Ware that helped the Cowboys move to the 3-4 when they did it. Without Ware, that piece didn't work right. The Broncos, holy moly, I can't believe they drafted a tall quarterback. But they got
Noah Fant.
But they got Noah Fant, which is going to be awesome for Flacco and for Drew Lock eventually, I'm sure. And Juwan Winfrey is low-key a really, really good receiver, but he also had Laviska Shenault in Colorado to take away some of the heat, so I'm curious if he can handle the NFL. And the Colts, talk about an all-name team. Marvell Tell III, Rock Yasin, Ben Benogu, Gary Green,
Bobby Okereke,
Kerry Willis. Is fuck. The Colts got a fucking lot of people. Dude.
Yeah.
And
EJ Speed.
And here's an interesting thing: Rock Yasin hasn't had a passing touchdown thrown against him since 2016. He's fucking insane.
He's really good.
And he played in the American, which did not lack offense. Like there were plenty. UCF, SMU when they were good. Houston, still having to deal with. Memphis, Marshall's no slouch. They're still in Conference USA. Marshall is.
Yes. South Florida
is another good one. It's going to be interesting too because I think we talked about on our postseason episode on the wish list. The Colts still have, I think, the highest cap available of anybody to sign people. So for them to have, what is 10 picks. Either they're going to have a lot of turnover or they're going to have a lot of depth going into camp to actually try to get the best possible person. Let's pick. I know we're going to talk about the Jaguars. I also wanted to touch on the Browns. So let's do the Browns and let's do the Jaguars, and then we can wrap this up and move to the next segment. Kyle, what do you think about the Jags draft?
I love it. I came out feeling really positive. First of all, Josh Allen fell into our laps. Did not expect that. I did not even think of that.
I think that's why I don't like the Brian Burns pick retroactively, is because Josh Allen is a 7, and there's only 9 pick difference, but talent-wise, I don't think Brian Burns fucking touches Josh. Just right out of college.
Sure.
That's probably when I'm saying the overvalue thing, what I'm saying.
I think that just the possibility of them switching to the 3-4 is what really sells it for me and with the Brian Burns pick. But yes, Josh Allen, we knew that we were looking for an edge rusher. Didn't think we were going to get it in the first round because didn't think that was really going to be in play in the first round. This is a super high value pick for Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
Well, how often have they messed up that pick before?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like relative to...
Exactly. You did something weird there.
No, I did. I just... Oh, for some reason it took...
Just leave it like that.
So.
Okay. Second round, Juwan Taylor. I didn't want him at 7, which I've said. I love him at 35. I think that at that point, I will take him with the 35 overall pick.
It sounds weird because I feel like the 5th round and 6th round you hear your project picks, but when you have a tackle that the project is all-pro or bust, if he has that all-pro potential, which I think Juwan Taylor has, second at the 35th pick is fucking a steal.
Yeah, and he's going to be sliding in as your starting right tackle day 1. It's that whole thing. You don't draft a right tackle with the 7th overall pick. You definitely do with the 35th.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a no-brainer. I am excited about Josh Oliver, the tight end. Everything I've heard about him is that he's a guy that can go up and get it at the highest point. With the DiFilippo offense, with Nick Foles, you know how he likes to go to tight ends. This could be a very sneaky good pick.
Yeah.
And he's fast. He's got hands. I'm excited to see what he turns into.
If he catches more than 40 passes, it's a win, considering his draft position.
And considering the vacuum of suck that's been the tight end position for Jacksonville for the last... forever. Even though Mercedes Lewis was,
He never lived up to it.
No.
Right? Because it was either the Jags that couldn't keep up or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't what I thought we were getting out of college. Quincy Williams. There's been a lot of talk about him. Why did we draft this guy so high? I did kind of like that. Pretty sure that our GM came out and said it's not my fault that nobody does their draft homework. Yeah, which is pretty awesome.
Pretty funny.
Dave Caldwell.
We'll see.
But, yeah, he's a bit of a project, but he's a hard hitter. It's Quinnen Williams' brother. It's his older brother.
He's Riley Ridley, but in defense.
Sure, but he's Quinnen Williams, but never hit a growth spurt. He's 5'11", 240.
But he ate like Quinnen Williams.
Yeah. But he can also apparently play almost like a hybrid safety too. So I'm excited to see what that could turn into. It could be one of those things where he could slide in as like an outside linebacker, where on like a nickel package maybe.
I was going to say he sounded to me like a nickel. Your nickel safety, your second strong safety position, or your spot duty linebacker coming in. Raquel
Armstead, the running back out of Temple, I think that's a good pickup, especially with the Fournette injury issues. He's a little bowling ball, 5'11", 225.
It's a baller too.
Yeah, I think that's a good value pick, and I absolutely love the fact that we got Gardner Minshew with the 6th round pick.
Is it the mustache that does it for you?
Or because the mustache ride.
Or because it's the Michael Leach guy too?
It's also that. I think that. Hey, I mean, look at our quarterbacks forever. It's last year we had Bortles, Tanner Lee, and Cody Kessler.
Yeah.
Now we've got Nick Foles. You got Gardner Minshew, and then probably the Alex McGuff kid. that we signed off of the Seattle practice squad. And they were
Kyle
kind
McGuff?
of Alex McGuff. I think he was Florida International, Florida Atlantic.
That sounds right. McGuffey?
No,
That was the autofill. I don't know why I did that.
MCG.
That's why I didn't find it. He played at Florida International, so he's a Butch Davis guy.
Yeah. But apparently Seattle was trying to stash him on their practice squad and hope to God nobody found out about him. And Jacksonville went. Yoinked him. And then the 7th round pick, Dontavius Russell, Auburn kid. Don't know much about him. But as another lineman, you can never have too many linemen.
If you go on the pedigree pick alone, at worst, he's going to be a rotation guy that's solid.
Yeah.
Like Auburn produces defensive linemen too. So
I don't have any issues with this draft.
I know what this is going to sound like when I say it, but I thought it was really interesting that the Browns, moving on to the Browns, that they went entirely defense because they think that's the problem, not the offense, which I get because their offense is pretty electric.
And they've added pieces to their offense in the offseason.
Yeah, don't forget, you add OBJ, you kind of...
Yeah.
They added...
Just not all that.
They added Greedy
And Kareem
Williams.
Hunt.
Greedy...
Shit, yeah, if he's ever allowed to play.
Yeah,
He's available after week 8.
Yeah, I'm still not sure if
they
he'll
still might
be.
move that, though. They moved Ray Rice around.
Sure.
I actually really liked the Taki pick. I just hate saying it.
Taki.
Mac Wilson's also a really good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Dummies drafted a kicker in the 5th round. But
Chicago should
Greedy Williams...
Now, we just brought in 8 rookies that were undrafted and, put them through a hazing ritual.
All the Chicago Regional High Schoolers that graduated. They just had them all try out.
Well, did you hear what they did with the rookie kickers last week? Did I tell you?
I think so.
They did a big practice, big rookie minicamp, right? And they had the big rookie end of minicamp practice with the kickers. And I think there was 8 of them. And they had all 8 of them line up at the same place. Cody Parkey didn't take a 43-yard field goal with the entire and only 2 of the 8 hit it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's almost like kicking is harder than it looks.
But if there was any doubt that the media message from the players and the reality from the players is they don't blame Cody Parkey is definitely bollocks after that. Because you don't run that hazing ritual without outright blaming
a certain
Parkey.
person in mind. So Greedy Williams was a surprise to people that he didn't get drafted the first day in the first round because he was a really good LSU cornerback. He ends up sliding to the Browns, who play the second, I think, highest zone defense. They call zone versus man more than every team in the league except for one.
Yeah. Okay.
And he is purely a man-to-man lockdown corner. And all you see now is them in this rookie minicamps and him getting torched fucking left and right because they have him playing 10 yards off the receiver or 8 yards on the inside and just getting eaten up because it's not his home. It's the same thing with Sherman. With Richard Sherman is a great man-to-man cornerback. Darrell Revis was a great man-to-man cornerback. But when you just sit someone into a zone, any quarterback worth their weight is going to fucking pick them apart.
Well, it's the thing that pissed me off about Jacksonville last year. You got 2 really good cornerbacks, and A.J. Boye and Jalen Ramsey, and you're having them play 8-9 yards off the guy. They're getting 6-7 yards up the field, run a little hook pattern, getting 6-7 yards every pass, or they're going down the field and somebody's missing a rotation. They're so much better when they can press people right off the bat and get in their face.
That's how you make pressure if you don't have an elite defensive line. Is you press the fuck out of them, and they have a player to be able to do that now. But oh nope, we're gonna have you play. You're gonna play in this cover 3 and get fucking torched every other game. That's all I got on the NFL draft. Final thoughts.
I've got more hope now for Jacksonville than I probably rightfully should.
What is
for this year?
I'm really excited to see the Giants just crash. I've never seen a team look so primed for disaster, and I'm in the NFL since I've been following it, and I'm here for it. I can't wait. It's just going to be so bad.
What's going to be even weirder is when they have a really, really bad year, they're going to fire their GM, they're going to fire their coach, and they're going to do exactly what the Cardinals did and try to get rid of Jones. Because next year's quarterback class is fucking
between Tagovailoa, Jake Fromm,
Justin Herbert.
Yeah, but the problem is that Rosen is actually a good quarterback. He was just destined to fail in the system they put him in, and like the lack of support he had. Whereas I guess Daniel Jones isn't the caliber that Rosen is.
No, I think Rosen could have succeeded in the Cardinals system just fine. I think the difference is
Kingsbury has a love affair with Kyler Murray.
He recruited him to Texas A&M. He had a hand in getting him to A&M, and then they both left A&M.
I'm talking less Kyler Murray and more talking about like Jones and Rosen as a comparison.
Yeah, I think Rosen's a better quarterback than.
So like, people ain't going to want to trade for Jones if he busts out.
That's what's going to be funny about it. Is what will happen instead? Jones will get traded for a 7th. Yeah, look at. Or
what does balls go for?
What do you mean, like trade?
They just
trade him. We just cut his ass.
Oh, maybe
cut his ass. Nobody wanted to take down his contract.
Hey, and he's on a 1-year deal with the Rams now, right?
Yeah.
So when he's in the Super Bowl, Kyle's going to be fucking. You know what? When the Rams and the Jags are in the Super Bowl and Bortles runs it in from the 2-yard line on some goal,
I'm gonna fucking burn.
Kyle's going to jump out of a window.
Balls lines up at tight end.
Catches one.
I'd love to see him try to catch a ball.
They can't throw it.
It's got to be better than it's got to be better than throwing.
Bortles. Nobody was going to take on his contract.
That's why he's only making like $2 million or something.
Making $1 million. Yeah, we cut him. Took the $16 million cap hit.
Joke's on the league. He's fucking paid, dude.
Yeah,
he's cruising. So let's finish the show with soccer talk.
Ooh.
Footy talk.
Hi, my name is Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.
Josh, it's you.
Yeah. So we have a lot to cover because there's been a lot going on. And I'm glad. I said to Marty just yesterday, should we wait to do this because there's so much more to talk about? But the reality is there's been so much go on in the last couple of weeks that we've got more content than I could ask for. So
we'll have another round of it after the next one because the FA Cup will have ended at that point.
And we're recording on the 9th of May, to be clear. So we got one last weekend for the EPL for anybody that...
And then the FA Cup the week after.
Probably want to cover the football on June the 6th recording because the Champions League will be the Saturday the 25th after the FA Cup. So we probably want to, because we want to include that in the wrap-up.
And we have the special episode next in 2 weeks.
Oh, yes.
So
maybe we jam in an extra week somewhere in between
that?
We
could do an extra week right after that if we want. So starting at the bottom, because we may as well, and we're really only going to be covering the English leagues and the top European competitions because that's all I follow. So if you're an MLS fan, tough shit. And if you like Barcelona or Real Madrid, it's not going to be good reading for you when we get to the Champions League. League 2. For anybody who isn't aware, League 2 is the final professional league in English football. So we have a pyramid system. It goes Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, and after that it goes down into semi-professional. So there was a big thing happened here because Notts County, the smaller club now in Nottingham, got relegated. And they were previously, before that, the oldest professional club in history in the entire world. They were founded in 1862. So being relegated into the semi-pro leagues is like a pretty major death knell in history for the OG clubs.
I suggest anybody look up Notts County, Notts. On their wiki, they have a chart for the progress in the English football system and to see how high they used to be.
Yeah, when I first kind of followed the football, like they were always pretty big. They were always like a Championship or League One side that was there or thereabouts, and they definitely ain't anymore. So they went down, which is a big shame because anything like that is kind of sad to see.
Also, my punchline of Yeoviltown is going down.
Yeah, Yeovil are also sinking without a trace.
And yet they allowed 11 less goals than Notts did. Notts got lit. Did they even have a goalie on the roster?
Yeah, they got lit up
It was a
pretty
goat.
badly at times. Milton Keynes Dons, the biggest scumbags in football, got promoted again, unfortunately. As did Bury, who are lucky to even be a club right now because they're in big financial trouble.
That does not say Bury.
It is how you pronounce that. They are just outside of Manchester.
It's Bury, sir.
No, I mean, you bury your grand. I always called it Bury. Alright, continue.
And the champions were Lincoln City, where I went to university.
The Red Imps.
That's nice. The Red Imps.
There you go.
What, semi-finalists in our mascot competition?
They're no crappers.
They've made it up there.
So clearly we were a good omen for them because they cantered to the title, which is unbelievable because when I was at uni, they were dog shit. I went and watched a couple of games when they were in the National League, which is the league below this, and they were just being run over. I thought they were going to go down again. So their manager, I can't remember what his name is now, but he's really turned it around there. He has done an absolute wonder job.
They were quarterfinalists, to be clear, in our tournament. They lost to Hartlepool United,
who aren't anywhere near as well hit. Forest Green Rovers is the other one I want to talk about because it's fun. Forest Green Rovers are the most eco-friendly club in the world. They are the first vegan football club in the world.
It's the Daniel Bryan of English Premier League.
They are the Daniel Bryan
They're the Planets
of football. Yes, they are the Planets team. And if anybody has 10 minutes to just read about Forest Green, they're genuinely a great read because they are this self-sustainable Planets team Daniel Bryan type.
Is every player a vegan?
No, not every player is a vegan, but they only serve vegan-friendly food. So if they do want to go and eat something else, they have to
so much
go elsewhere.
flaxseed.
Vegan Franks.
So anything outside of the football, like anything outside of their training is fine. But when they come in after their morning session, they're eating everything vegan.
So
There's just their logo's a recycling logo. That's their crest.
do they tell all their fans that they're impotent and they need to change it?
Yeah, that's stop.
I hope
Don't buy
so.
our stuff because it's bad for the environment.
I hope so. But they're a likable club despite the choices
Does
they've
their
made.
crest have a unicorn?
Yes. Their crest does have a unicorn. They are in the League 2 playoffs. They may well get promoted, which is unbelievable because they got promoted from the semi-pros last year or the year before.
Wow.
And everybody thought that they were going to be absolute relegation fodder. They stayed up, strengthened correctly, and they may well be in the third tier of English football.
So 4 teams move up into League One.
Yes, and we have 4 teams go down in League One, which is kind of why it's fun to cover all of these because every single division had mad drama this year, which is above the normal levels for anybody who follows football at all or really cares. There was some talking points all the way through. So Notts County going down is a huge historic moment. League One, up until the final day of the season, anybody in 13th could have been relegated.
Wow. Yeah.
We have never had that amount of teams on the cusp before.
Jeez.
It is just unreal. And I know that, I think it was with 40 games played with just 6 to go, I think it was everybody from 10th down was in danger. Which is just mental. Bradford City obviously sunk without a trace. Scunthorpe United and Walsall also didn't really stand much of a chance. But Plymouth Argyle, AFC Wimbledon, Southend, all of those ones above them were all playing for their lives on the final game of the season.
And it looks like Wimbledon basically backed their ass into playing next year.
Yes, essentially.
And Plymouth Argyle,
Did they lose 5 of their last 6?
Yeah, it looks like Plymouth Argyle got points in all 6 of their last matches and didn't. Oh, that makes me feel so bad for them.
That's brutal.
You get points.
You kept getting points, and it just didn't do anything to save you. It was brutal. I'm a big fan of Plymouth too, so I was kind of sad that they got relegated.
Oh wait, no, it looks like
so they drew or won all their last 6. Plymouth lost.
Okay, so Plymouth lost. Okay, I was reading it wrong.
AFC Wimbledon are the ones that took points from everything.
Okay, so Plymouth Argyle looked like in the last chart that we're looking at, those are filled with white, and it
so towards the end, with about 6 games to go, Rochdale were beyond screwed, and they went and picked up 12 points in their last 6 games to fly out of the problem fire. Like, it was
to go 5 spots safe.
It was incredible. It was. I couldn't imagine the drama of being a fan of any of those bottom half, because it's just none of you were safe. And then the top half, Luton Town.
Boo!
Out of all the teams in this league, big fallen giants in there: Portsmouth, Charlton Athletic, Barnsley, Sunderland, Doncaster, Coventry City, who were in the Premier League when I first started watching the football. Blackpool, who have had time in the Premier League. Southend were a half-decent side before. Bradford City were a Premier League 20 years ago. And Luton Town beat them all to the Championship.
That's Watford's rival?
That's Watford's biggest rival.
They're coming for you.
They can have another year to get up to it.
Barnsley also rise up. And funnily enough, we'll see this trend in both League One and the Championship. This is 4 very established teams that are used to playing at a higher level, all in the playoffs. So Charlton Athletic, Portsmouth, Sunderland, and Doncaster Rovers have all had lots of time above this division. So these are all 4 very well-established clubs, and there's going to be teams coming down and coming up that won't be able to pick who they want gone, because all of them are good. They'd rather 3 of those 4 gone up than Luton or Barnsley.
Only 5 matches out of 46, Sunderland didn't get points.
Yes.
Fucking outrageous.
Yep. They lost less games than Luton, but they just drew too many. And you see that in so many divisions, and we'll see it in the next couple, actually.
That was how they stayed in the Premier League for as long as they kept drawing.
Look at Barnsley kicking ass at the end of the season to get to that second spot, and Sunderland playing like poo-poo.
And Charlton, too. Like, they gave everything they could. They just could not sneak in above Barnsley.
What if Sunderland makes it up to the
Sunderland's 3 of their last 6 were it doubled their loss total.
4 of their last 6, they took 2 points from their last 12. That's what cost them. 100%.
But they have 5 losses all year, and 3 of them came in the last 6, which is fucking wild.
Bottled it massively. They were
right.
Dipshits, yeah.
So we have Charlton Athletic playing Doncaster Rovers in the playoff semi-final, and Portsmouth playing Sunderland in the other one. That is one hell of a travel for either of those fans when they go to the away leg. Portsmouth, who are on the south coast, and Sunderland, who are in the northeast. It's probably one of the highest round trips you'll get in the UK. Brighton, Newcastle.
It's like Atlanta to Charlotte.
Yeah, it is, but with like the density of traffic is just like makes it insane.
At this level, they're all taking buses, I presume.
Trains usually, but
it's a trip I have to make home every day.
Yeah, it's Kyle's commute.
So moving up to the Championship, there isn't a great deal to talk about going down.
Look at Bolton.
Ipswich Town going down was a big shock, because I haven't seen Ipswich Town below the Championship, and I can't remember the last time they were being taken down to League One.
The Tractor Boys.
The Tractor Boys, another member of the Mascot Championship. They did very badly. 5 wins all season in a 46-game season.
Ooh, rough.
Bolton Wanderers.
Fucked off at the end of the season.
They may well not even be a club next year. They've just been placed into administration. At a very bare minimum, they're probably going to start with a -10 or -15 points deficit in the next league.
Their players didn't get paid since like the beginning of March.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's been a lot of problems. Rotherham, who are the perennial yo-yo team between this league and the one below, like they are the West Brom of the Championship to League One. All they do is go up and down all the time.
That sounds like hell, man. God, it sounds like hell.
It's bad enough being a Premier League yo-yo team because at least you're getting the money. But being a Championship to League One is just, it sucks. They are in this hell.
The hellscape that is.
Just to never come close to playing less than 46 games a year. Like, just at least you lighten your load too going up for the Premier League.
And then going up, which is the kind of the business end where most people are really paying attention, Norwich City recruited incredibly well this year. They signed Timo Pukki, or Pucci, I'm not sure how you spell his name, on a free transfer. He is Finnish, and he has just destroyed the league. He has scored just an outrageous amount of goals. Let me see how many. He's their top scorer by a mile. Let me see how many goals he's scored for Norwich this season. He's played 43 games for Norwich and scored 29 goals. He has just swept this league apart. I was actually saying on one of my podcasts that if Norwich didn't go up, I'd love us to get him. I'd love us to sign him. But he wasn't having none of that. he dragged him kicking and screaming into the Premier League, so that's that fucking gone. Chris Wilder at Sheffield United is a very cool young and upcoming manager, and all teams from 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th are much bigger than Sheffield United, with much bigger budgets. So to get them second was a hell of a bit of management from him. He will be one to keep an eye on next year in the Premier League. He's your David Wagner, where Huddersfield were expected to sink without a trace, and he performed a miracle in that first year. Wilder might well do the same. And then you have a real juicy bunch of playoffs.
Anybody but Leeds, right?
For me, anyone but Leeds.
I'm here for Derby County going up.
I've never had a good away day at Derby, so I'm biased, but
see, I'm here for it. I like West Brom out of any of them, just because I've always liked the WBA look. I don't know.
The problem for...
I don't want them up just because they've been up recently.
Yeah, and the problem with with all four of these teams, so in the playoffs we're going to have Leeds United play Derby and West Brom play Aston Villa, which is a big derby, by the way. West Brom and Aston Villa is going to be a big rivalry because they're both in Birmingham. So there might be some violence there with whoever loses. Peaky Blinders come 2019.
Yeah, send me a picture of that guy that got a smile and I'll put him on a podcast art.
Frank Lampard manages Derby County, which would be a huge deal for them to go up because Frank Lampard is like an England legend, Chelsea legend. Yeah. So I think a lot of the media would want him to come up because it's Frank Lampard's Derby County.
Right.
Leeds are the perennial bellends that think they're better than everybody else. So
they have a chance to come back.
The media want them to come up, I'm sure, but no one else outside of Leeds wants them anywhere near it. Because there's so many Leeds fans, the media knows it's going to get clicks, whereas everybody else fucking hates them and doesn't.
They're the University of Texas.
They are.
West Brom, like you said, they've been up and down. They
just went down this past year. That's
they
where
did.
We got Ben Foster from.
And Aston Villa, who are a much bigger club than a Championship one, and yet just can't seem to get it right in the back room.
Didn't you say Villa they always do this? They're like, they've been a yo-yo team for as long as you can remember?
No, that's West Brom.
Okay.
Aston Villa were a Premier League team for my entire life. Before they were one of the longest serving Premier League teams in history before they got relegated.
Their kits are very Burnley-esque.
When you have Burnley, West Ham and Aston Villa in the same division, like, you just get real pissed off with seeing claret and blue. Like, it's just every other week. Who's your pick?
I already said I'm here for Derby.
Okay.
West Brom.
I'm going with Villa.
God, that means Leeds is going to go through.
God, I can't pick Leeds, though. I can't.
Yeah, but then we shit all over next year.
I'll make the safe pick. I think Sheffield's definitely going to come up.
That's a good. That's
good for you.
Fair guess.
Really taking a leave right there. I'm real proud of you.
One more thing to cover. Bristol City's manager, Lee Johnson, very talented manager. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him managing a Premier League team by the beginning of August. I don't know who.
He's a young dude too, though, right?
He is a young dude. Bristol City are nowhere near good enough to be in 8th place and challenging for a playoff spot every year. But they are.
Oh, does this also mean that we're not going to have a Welsh team in the Premier League next year?
Yes, for the first time since 2011, we have no Welsh team in the Premier League.
Because Swansea's nowhere near it.
Bringing us on to that, let's go to the Premier League. We have wrapped up every single race there is except for the biggest one. Huddersfield Town were relegated when? The end
Christmas.
of March, I think.
Might have been February.
They were actually the earliest relegated club in like something like 40 years. Like there hasn't been a team relegated that early on in the season.
They're atoning for the magic trick that they pulled staying up last year.
Pretty much, and yet they attained more points. They still weren't the worst points total ever. I believe that still belongs to Derby with 9 all season.
Outrageous.
I would have to double check it. It was in my lifetime too. Let me double check it right now.
How miserable would that be?
How bad if it was the first week they got a win and they just got 6 points?
A lot of these were in my time. Sunderland,
Yep.
6th lowest with 24 points. Sunderland again, 5th lowest with 19 points. Portsmouth with 19 points. Villa with 17. Sunderland again with 15 points. And Derby County,
11.
It wasn't. I'm so sorry, Derby County fans. It wasn't 9 points. You actually accumulated 11.
You drew twice more than we.
Their only win was a 1-0 success over Newcastle in September, which, for what it's worth, is the second month of the season. So for the next 8 months of football, you never saw another win. And yeah,
Jesus.
they were relegated on the 29th of March, the earliest ever relegation from a top flight. So I'd have to double check as to when Hudders was, but it was probably maybe a week after, because they were still the worst team ever.
That's really bad.
Fulham, who spent more net transfer than any other team outside of the top 6, and actually including teams in the top 6. They spent over £100 million this year.
Didn't matter.
And teams like Watford, who spent something like 40 million net spend, Everton, who spent something like the same amount net spend, Spurs, I mean, they're a little bit different because they are so well built, but they didn't spend a penny. Fulham was slumped with that race. They went down 26 points.
I don't like that. Kind of wanted them to stick around.
I mean,
soft spot.
Who, Cardiff?
29 of their 26 points came in the last 4 games of the
I can't imagine why, Jacksonville Jaguars fans.
You can't turn it on so late, but I am a fan of Fulham too. There's a soft spot in my heart for them because
I like their shitty little stadium where you have to walk in from the street.
Their stadium is one of the most fun away days you will ever go to.
They've also got a cool look too. I like their kit, and I like their crest.
Yeah,
they
it's
are
kinda
honestly
weird.
one of the most fun away days ever. It helps that we've won every time I've gone.
You
But
enjoy yourself a little Craven Cottage?
it is great. It's such fun. It's Sheffield Wednesday is also one of the best away days for like looks in the stadium, and like they're similar builds. Like they're proper old school grounds.
It's wild watching them walk, like the teams when they're
Over the backyards, right?
Yeah, they're just walking in from the street. And it's like
A couple of teams played with fire, big time. Burnley decided to do absolutely nothing until after Christmas. They looked gone without a trace until they got knocked out of Europe and sorted themselves out at the end of the year and ended up finishing way clear. But they finished with 40 points. I won't be surprised if 30 of those were after December. They were in a bad way for a long time. Southampton had flirted with the relegation spots all the way through the season and just about stayed up thanks to a good last 6 or 7 games. And Brighton did the complete opposite to Burnley, where they got almost all of their points before Christmas and decided to do nothing else ever since.
it's been a fun year, a fun half year for you.
There was a couple of very lucky draws at the end. Well, not lucky because they worked very hard for them, but they pulled it out of the bag when they needed it most because they were in deep shit before that. That just about kept them up.
Well, when you're only a few minutes away from having 4 draws there, right? When they let out that late goal against, or was it the really early goal against Man City? Or, God damn it, who was it?
Tottenham, the last
Tottenham.
second when you left,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, fuck, yeah, that was rough.
There's been a lot of talk about Cardiff being very hard done by with their decisions because Neil Warnock has done an incredible job of propagating that. Biggest thing to look forward to next year is the introduction of VAR and see really how that pans out. I would love to see a VAR adjusted table for this year just to see where everybody sits because I'm not sure if Cardiff probably will be relegated. I think Southampton or Burnley may well take that spot, because I think both Brighton, Cardiff and Newcastle would be the biggest winners of the VAR adjustment, because you can probably give them all 6 to 10 points and you can probably take away a couple for those other clubs, which would bust them. Wolves took the 7th spot, so they may have a chance into Europe. Manchester United and Arsenal took the top 6. Europa League beckons Manchester United and Arsenal. Possibly. We'll get into that shortly. Tottenham take the top 6, top 4, barring a mathematical miracle. There needs to be an 8-goal swing between Arsenal and Spurs' games at the end of the year. So it could happen, but it probably won't. Chelsea ended up comfortably sneaking into top 4 when, for a while in the middle of the year, they looked bad. Everybody wanted Sarri out, and they managed to sneak in anyway. Biggest story is obviously the final day of the season. Manchester City and Liverpool duke it out for the title. Man City are the reigning champs. Liverpool ain't won in 20 odd years. Liverpool go at home to Wolves, I believe, and City go away to the AJAX, needing to better their result.
I think Manchester City probably wins it, right?
Well,
I think Brighton plays fast and loose and they're relaxed, which is a dangerous Brighton.
If Brighton perform how they did against Arsenal, they'll cause them some problems. But City are just such a level above that I'm not sure it's going to happen. I imagine City will probably beat them 2-0 or something like that. But it's going to be fun, because after this week of European competition, you never know what the fuck's going to happen.
Yeah.
Moving on to the predictions that we made, and then we'll finish with Europe, and then we're done. We have got five of the predictions that we made that have been decided, and one extra for me. So, relegated. We've decided the relegation spots. Marty decided that Saints were going to go down. They escaped the chop. And me and Kyle also believe that Cardiff will go on. We got that right. 1 point for us. The AJAX loving continued with Marty, and he nailed that because they beat Juventus in that Champions League quarterfinal. Juventus absolutely dog shit. Kyle and Josh -1. Barca and United, we all knew that United were going to flop. Barca cruised, we all got that right. And Porto against Liverpool was kind of harsh on Porto. Liverpool obviously crushed them and we're all through to the next round. Kyle, the standout prediction from City Spurs, both Marty and myself went with City winning that leg. Did not happen. Spurs are now through to a Champions League final, which leaves the Champions League winner prediction up for grabs between two of you, because I naively went with City winning everything, and you did not. You went with Liverpool winning it. So if Liverpool win the Champions League final, you both get a point. Otherwise, Spurs are going to play spoiler and red us all out.
So the only chance I have of winning this is if Deulofeu is the first goal scored.
No, because we're going to add a new prediction to the mix.
Oh.
We never included the Europa League.
Okay.
Now, the Europa League just got decided maybe 40 minutes ago. For the first time in history, 4 English clubs will be in the finals of both European competitions.
Really?
Liverpool will play Spurs in the Champions League final.
Chelsea plays Man
And
U?
Chelsea will play Arsenal.
Arsenal, okay.
After Arsenal dicked Valencia 5 or 6-2 on aggregate, and Chelsea just won their penalty shootout against Eintracht Frankfurt. So, Europa League final, Arsenal versus Chelsea. North London derby. Who you got?
Kyle needs to pick first.
Because you'll just take the opposite.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. It's the only chance I've got, right?
Pretty much. I mean, similarly
Arsenal.
to this,
Arsenal's going to be trying to do that
Oh my God.
so they can get
I
into
thought I was going to get stuck with Arsenal.
No,
Give me Chelsea. Give me Chelsea.
Arsenal is going to be playing with the fire of 1,000 suns so that they can get into the Champions League instead of...
Arsenal's going to score 2 own goals. They'll be his fucking best. They're going to be a disaster.
I'm also going with Chelsea.
And Basuma's going to laugh and just be in the front row laughing.
Because I just don't trust Arsenal's defensive line. I think that Chelsea will win it. And if they win, as Kyle was saying, they're Champions League bound. So there's going to be it will be big for Arsenal to win that, because if they do, we then have 5 teams in the Champions League. Wolves definitely get a European spot, and I believe Watford, if they were to beat City, then get another one. So you'd have 8 English teams in Europe, which is like insane.
Yeah.
The only chance I have of getting a win here is if City win the league on Sunday, because that's the only differential I have. And then it comes to the first goal scorers at the FA Cup. If Liverpool win the league on Sunday, I'm fucked. So I'm now stuck between wanting my team to spoil the party, but not for my own selfish podcast needs.
The thing that bears no fruit.
Right.
Yeah,
Nothing
that
at all.
serves you the least.
Credit with 2 people that don't care.
The tiebreaker, what was that again?
The minute of the first goal. In the
Okay,
FA Cup.
gotcha.
Yeah.
A lot of faith in Watford to score first.
Last thing we want to cover really is the route to the finals for these Champions Leagues. We had 2 games this week. We had Barcelona, who were 3-0 up going into Anfield, and we had Tottenham Hotspur going into the final 45 minutes at Ajax 3-0 down. And both Liverpool and Spurs are now in the Champions League final.
And Liverpool played without Salah and without Firmino. He just fucking dominated the best player in the world's team.
Yes.
Didn't matter, they had Origi.
Divock Origi and Lucas Moura have probably made more money in their next wage raise
From that game alone.
from those games alone.
There was talk at the starting in the transfer window this past summer of Watford trying to go out and get Origi. And I was really like, okay, yeah, I'm cool with that.
There was talk of him coming to Brighton too. There was every team in the bottom 10 were looking at Origi because Liverpool were clear that they were looking to shop him out on loan.
Yeah.
And Watford would have been a hell of a... When you look at Watford now, like,
Yeah.
7th place would have probably been
Yeah.
theirs if they'd have tucked him. And if we'd have tucked him, we'd never have been in relegation trouble. We'd have been 15th.
Yeah.
No problem.
He would have been scoreless through 12 hours or whatever fucking length it was.
But just incredible scenes. Lucas Moura scoring at the last second.
The sadness on every Ajax player's face when they fall flat on their face.
Only because it was like, it was a great play, and what seemed like such a letdown of a goal because it just looked like it just rolled in, like nice and slow. It wasn't like a screamer like the company goal.
Right.
You know, it was just like, it sucks, man.
It just
I was
went
here
in.
for fucking AJAX. I really was.
Yeah, so was I, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm super... You're going to have 1 or 2 people in England, either... And it's generally top 6 fans. If you're a Liverpool fan, you want every other team to be shit in Europe because you want you to be the best. If you're not a top 6 fan, usually you want every English club to do excellently because it reflects on you. Like, if you're then playing in the same league as 4 European finalists and you're making an offer to a player in the Spanish league, like, it helps.
And they say, oh, cool, I can go play in the best league. Is there not any, like, by proxy cheering for AJAX because they are lesser than?
Yes. You're going to have a whole bunch of people that are underdog fans. You're going to have a whole bunch of people that just enjoy the way Ajax play because they are, like, Barcelona-like. They're really, really sexy when they play that football that they do. So,
But their last names are just a lot harder to say.
yeah, pretty much. But they'll be back, I'm sure, because
They're always-
Do you think
They're always there.
Do you think there's a kickback to a team like that getting hot and then just getting raided by La Liga or EPL or anyone else?
Yeah, AS Monaco did it 2 years ago.
And then-
Mbappe is gone. Bernardo Silva is gone. And there's 2 or 3 others that left.
And I mean, those clubs are well paid for it, but it's still...
But it just depends on the investment they make. I mean, when you look, there's more than just those 2, but when you think Mbappe and Bernardo Silva, who are now 2 of the best players in the world,
Yeah.
left Monaco, and they clearly haven't invested well because they're not in the same spot they were with them.
Yeah.
So, Ajax will be in trouble, but Ajax have always had a much better... Ajax have always been a big club, because they're the biggest club in Holland. and it's going to take a miracle for them not to be. They're the only club in the capital that's big. They have a big youth system.
They will consistently make the Champions League because they will consistently win that division.
Did you know what
and if they don't, they're going to win the cup that gets them into the qualifying rounds, and 9 times out of 10 they'll sneak into the qualifier.
So they have 4 nicknames. Do you know what any of them are?
AJAX.
Yeah. There's
Reddits.
Lucky AJAX, which is just
The
one.
Orange Men. Is that the Dutch?
I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I'm not going to try to pronounce. I'm not going to pronounce the Dutch version of them. But one is called the Lancers. You want me to try? All
Yeah.
Right. I Lancieri. I don't even know what the dialect of.
Sounded Italian.
Sounds good. That's why I have no idea what the dialect. I don't know where the emphasis should be. De Joden, which is the Jews.
I mean, Tottenham Hotspur are also that way. Tottenham Hotspur is one of their chances, Yidos.
Fuck. And then go on, you whites. Wait, is that Tottenham?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's more just come on, you Spurs, but they play in white.
Okay.
So.
De Godenzonen, which is Sons of the Gods, which truly is
that's a
one of the best nicknames I've
that
ever
should have
seen.
been in our
Sons of the Gods is fucking wicked. I think
The God Zone is also the mode that you play on in any fighting game where you can't get hurt.
it's the Game Genie cheat code. You have to spell out De Godenzoden. Guys, thank you for listening to the Godenzoden podcast. God, if we had to say that every single episode, it'd be awful. Thank you for listening. Feel free to rate if you want. Mostly just review, subscribe. We want new listeners. We want you to talk to us. Give us some ideas if you want. We're not short on ideas, but we want to please you guys. And on that note, our next episode is going to be a very, very, very special episode. We're going to have a special guest. And get your tinfoil hats on for conspiracy talk, because that's what it's going to be about.
Get a fucking bag of weed or whatever you want to do. Get a line. Get beer. Get whiskey. Settle down.
Get the Godenzoden.
Turn your lights off. Eat some cheese before you go to sleep. And just relax.
Watch the X-Files at least 2 episodes before you listen.
At least.
We got a special episode with Mr. Bobby. We're just going to call him Mr. Bobby, I think.
I think that's the best. I'm not even sure he'd want us to tell him that far over his name.
It's just kid stuff.
It's the Woke Lion, I think is what he calls himself on Facebook. So we can just go with Woke Lion Bobby.
Sure.
The WLB. Have a good one, guys.